Hello, flat earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. It's rather a nice clear day here, Portishead. Hope you're all having a good Wednesday so far, hump of the week. Monkey wipe up, Stash Man, hello. Good to see you. Thanks for coming along. I'll get to the topic, right to the point. Hi, eye level. Hi. Yeah, now at the moment, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but you can see the 2-7 bridges here. The closest one is the oldest one, and then there's one beyond that in the distance. I think it's another couple of miles away, upstream, up this Severn estuary. And in my eyes, maybe you probably can't see it in the camera, but the bases of both those bridges are on the same level. In fact, the one further away looks slightly higher than the one in front. Again, this is simply due to perspective. Hi, Paul, who have we got? Paul Tracy, Ruben Hodgins. Oh, yay, hello, yay. Oh, hang on, I've lost the chat, just a minute. Gideon, hi. Well, or beef, hi. Yeah. So just another one of those everyday observations that any of us can make that immediately disproves the globe model idea of what it's all based on. The horizon, based on this fixed horizon at a certain distance and a certain angle and all that jazz. Absolute load of rubbish. I mean, okay, that's fine. It's fine as a mathematical model, but it doesn't fit with what we see in reality. And it's interesting because yesterday or after the previous video, there was some glober who admits that perspective is a thing, but then still wants to talk about curvature. Yeah, the water kind of gives the game away. That's right, Cylinder. It does, yeah. And it's a really low tide at the moment, full moon and all that. So yeah, the horizon is always going to be determined by visibility. And even if we could see forever with a completely clear, sky, then what would happen? We would have a horizon with a sharp edge at eye level. Doesn't matter. Hello there, Ryan. Isn't it as simple as that? And it's interesting, I was watching Dell's hangout last night, watching Dell get frustrated with the point he was trying to make, and about pressure and the direction of down, basically, and of course how you need some kind of movement or pressure to have a direction for down. And I think, of course, what's being addressed there is the crux of the issue, because it was with this measurement of the direction of down, the downward acceleration, the 9.8 meters per second squared, that really solidified the globe model. Because of course this is the ultimate question that we get to: why is down and where's it going in relation to where the earth is? And are we just sitting on a shelf in in a giant lab, but then where's the lab? And this is a question that, of course, hi World Without Curve, this is a question that baffles us from a young age. And of course, when we ask those questions about where does, what's beyond the earth, where does space end, of course, you do reach a brick wall. There is nobody. It is beyond our understanding, beyond our knowledge, to actually know this. So, of course, when they came to be able to measure the rate of acceleration of a mass in the medium of air when it goes down, all the measurements are based off that, and then you've got the kilogram and the metric system and what have you. But what you have at that point, where they were able to say, yes, we can predict that something heavy, something with a mass, a solid mass, will fall at a rate of 9.8 meters per second squared. And this then gives them everything to define down, and so we would appear at that point to have a kind of an answer to the question that we cannot answer about where we are and what this place is. And it's a globe, and we stick to it because down is towards the center of a sphere, and we know there's this force because we can measure the rate of acceleration, and in order to get acceleration you need an external force, blah blah blah. So the conundrum as far as making the equations to go with the physics is complete. The mathematical model is then complete with this presupposition of a downward force towards the center of a spherical Earth. And then of course you can use the inverse square law with the further away something is, the less gravitational attraction it has. You can just postulate all of that and assume all of that for your model, because you already have your 9.8 meters per second squared in place, which of course is very close to most physicists will even end up using 10. They just go for 10. And this is why, of course, you have the Newton weight, which is very, very close to a kilogram. It's just a fraction of a kilogram, 9.98 or 89, I can't remember the exact figure, grams. Or 900. Yeah, it's basically just a fraction off a kilogram, isn't it? A Newton weight. So, but that's it. That is as far as the model goes, but it at least answers itself. So then, of course, you have this explanation for the globe, for the heliocentric model, that is in keeping with time. And of course, it all appears to make sense, and we should believe the mathematicians because they can they can make these predictions down to the the millisecond, what have you. And so because again, it's this having an answer to where is the direction of down coming from, where is it originating from, appears to it kind of satisfies to a point that question of where we are, what this place is, on a mathematical, on a kind of practical, no, not a practical, a concept. Yeah, am I making sense? Is this kind of resonating? Does that kind of seem to? So we're still faced with this conundrum of the big question: the how, the why. Why is down? Why is it this way? What's the cause and effect? So of course we have this imaginary cause. We also seem to have mass attracting mass, and a law made up, rules made up, along with all the other assumptions for the heliocentric model. And of course then along come the explanations about horizons, which, as you can see, it's gorgeous, really. And this horizon that you can see in the distance is probably about what's in the immediate foreground, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably about 5 miles or something, 5 miles across, and of course the further out we see, the wider that field of view becomes. Yeah. Things frozen up here. The picture's frozen. What's happening here? Can you let me know if I'm still broadcasting? Hi, one man and his detector. Ryan, mathematical is definitely not explanation, practical or reality. It is just yes. I agree. Good in, yes. Okay, thanks, Plain Truth. All right, thank you. Oh, Billy Sunday, hi. Isn't it? It's all around us, but that's the thing. So I see what Dale was trying to do last night on his stream was just kind of, broach that question. Obviously, there is that question from the flat that explanation from the Flat Earth Society that says the Earth is moving, and that's what creates gravity. But of course, that's also you know, a non-starter as soon as you start thinking about it properly. But that's the point. We don't, you know, we don't have those answers to hand, and we can all speculate. But it does all lead to that same big question. What's this one? One man addressed Phuket Wood. Did you think more about the can't see out but can see in with the blue sky? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think to be honest, stars is the big thing here. Is one of the larger mysteries, and of course, by saying they're millions of miles away, I think the stars, of course, they're right there, and there is something about being able to look up at them, but not being able to look down on them. I mean, those images we have from what they call space could well be up there, that high up, whether they're on a balloon or an aircraft or whatever, who knows. But yeah, it's going to look like that. So that to me tells me that the light it's down here, it's somewhere among the clouds, it's very, very close, but you know, we don't necessarily have to consider it as a physical rock. I mean, again, all the assumptions that go with any model are just that. They are assumptions as to what's outside, the cause and effect. And you can go on asking this question for eternity, and we're not going to get an answer in the position that we're in, unless, of course, we can find the true dimensions and true limits of this realm, as it were. That would be a start. So car 49, if you build a bridge in mile sections, you only have to account for 8 inches to each section. How does that fit into the 8 inch per mile squared? Any thoughts? Trinity 4 is trying to solve this. To be honest, I think that's a dead end as well, because yes, architecturally, you could design a bridge and you could have the posts pointing to a said center of the spherical Earth, and in the designs, those posts would be, you know, three quarters of an inch from vertical or something like that. But ultimately, yeah, when you build something like a bridge over there, then it is going to be section by section, or you might be lining things up with the other side. But sure, you're going to follow the plans, but you're not going to be incorporating the 2/3 of an inch, maybe, you know. Or you might well do, but it doesn't make any difference to the overall thing. So, again, there's nothing done on or above this Earth that compensates for curvature. It's a bit of a time waster, to be honest. You know, you just got to realize, you just got to see how it's done compared to how it's conceived. Yeah. The sky is a one-way mirror. That's a good way of looking at it, man. I appreciate that thought there. One man and his detector. Yeah. Jested red high. Stars are projections in the aether. Stars, an Earth-based phenomenon. Okay, Gideon. Rude Earther, hello again. Tony Dixon, hi. Ryan Q says, draw a curve, then chop it into equal lengths. Each joint has to follow the curve. It isn't straight at the joints. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? We all, whatever we're doing, whatever we're arguing about, we get to this point of that's unanswerable, because that's what is bothering us. And I think we'll find with the Globies, that's the thing. They don't want, a lot of them don't want to think about the who we are, the why we're here. This partially answered question as to the alleged mechanics of living on a globe is enough. And of course, everything else, the stars and the planets, are so far away that they can have some kind of dream, fantasy-like meaning for us. But we know that it's just a fantasy to dream of meeting races and species from somewhere else, millions of miles away in the universe. It's just all put out of reach. It becomes a fairy tale. But at the same time, this would satisfy that natural curiosity that we all have, and the questions that we all want to answer. And again, in a way, this is this kind of form of suffering, because perhaps we wouldn't know for sure, but perhaps animals don't suffer in the same way. They might, or they certainly don't suffer. Maybe, you know, they have this, or maybe don't even have the thought about what they're doing here, whereas that's constantly occupying us. And of course, so it is an unanswerable question, and it becomes very frustrating. So it's a lot easier in that sense to not think about it and have an apparent answer from an apparent authority, and that's enough. Thank you very much. I'll get on with my meat and two veg and soap operas. Okay, Rudolph, we're all in jail learning a lesson about being grateful for our unlimited real lives. Oh, that's a really good way of thinking about it. Yeah. But a jail, yeah. Oh, yeah. This, you know, free will and all that comes into that whole thing. Animals don't have a self to pain over. Oh, that's an interesting one. I love this. Is great. I love all these. You know, and it's wonderful. This gives all of us a chance to see what other people are thinking, and then we can kind of incorporate that into the things that we see and experience, and then we get a bigger, a nicer, more rounded picture to think about with everyone's input here. It's lovely. Sparkly, I think the onus is on the globe community to prove. Yes, absolutely. And of course, we've, you know, it's enough time has passed now, and actually, for anyone that's open-minded and is able to detach and is walking this path of truth seeking, really, then they will get it immediately. There's no need to. Once the seed has been planted, leave them to it, because then it should flourish. That's all you should ever have to do with anyone. Anyone who's just going to turn around and argue about this and that, and kind of keep on harping on about the globe explanations and so-called proofs, needs to do their research, and they need to catch up and then come back with a different mindset, rather than wasting everyone's time demanding explanations for things that no one's ever explained anyway. Yeah. Where were we? Sorry, blabbing. Lots of chat going on. Tony Dixon, engineers use Euclidean planar geometry which do not work on code. Yeah, exactly. But of course, yeah, I think my point was that with a bridge design, one of those bridges, you know, you could actually take, you know, draw a design and say, yeah, the poles are pointing towards the figurative center of the earth, and you could actually illustrate it and design it to be like that. And basically, essentially, what the end result wouldn't be any different to what's actually there anyway. So yeah. One man. For some reason, it seems when you close to the truth, flack naturally seems to come out of nowhere. Absolutely, yeah, because it is a fear thing. You know, it's like, shut up, don't talk about that. You know, I don't. Blah, 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 no, it's embarrassing. Sure, yeah. Okay, just look how the z-axis is the up parameter for the center of the unit. Billy Sunday, our universe is water. Humans are mostly water. Earth 70% water. Yeah. Okay. Totally agree. I would say we are of this earth, and in fact, if you think about, if you go and listen to